Hi, my name is Sharon Bridgeforth. Welcome to My Two Cents. Here I respond to questions that come up in creative process workshops that I facilitate. I've noticed that most of us tend to have similar questions, very often the same questions, as we grow in our lives and in our art practice and in our wellness. And so here I just want to share some of the questions, some of my responses, and also welcome you to offer questions, resource, and responses as well. So this week's My Two Cents is on the following question. All right. How do we create a special way to get ready to write? Mm, mm, mm. Well, my two cents on that is that it is essential that you understand, explore, and expand your creative process. So, the first question that I would ask you back is what is your creative process? What is it that brings spaciousness, energy, passion, curiosity, and joy to you as you approach writing or whatever your art or work is that you are contemplating um, this question around? And honor all of it, right? So, my creative practice, for me, what instigates an opening that helps me to sit inside of the work and do the work no matter what, evolves around a few things. First of all, I am continuously filling myself up with inspiration. So I'll just tell you what works for me. I think the only thing that matters is what works for you. It must be in it must be in authentic resonance with what feels like joy, power, um, clarity, expansion, and knowingness for you. So, thinking about your creative process, just use what I'm about to say to kind of jump off, as a jumping off point. So, for me, I'm always filling myself up with inspiration. I read tons of biographies and autobiographies. The thing that really inspires me is to find out what jazz and blues musicians and singers say about their own lives, how they talk about their work, and how they talk about the histories that they come from. I also love some, history and nonfiction books. One of my favorite books in the world is Isabel Wilkerson's The Warmth of Other Suns, Suns. So books like that, books that feed curiosity and that inspire me, are really essential, and I have lots of them around me at all times. I use the library, y'all. I love the library. Actually, when I finish this, I'm going there right now to pick up a book. But anyway, so for me, also documentaries, and also music. Music is really important. So at some point, I usually begin to feel something that I do not have words for. So for me, music helps me to get deeper inside of what that feeling is. There's a point for me where music always articulates in my soul and spirit and heart, uh, something that I don't yet have words for. And it kind of helps it build and rise to the surface. At some point after it starts rising, and sometimes I'll put the same song on repeat for a long time. uh, anyway, so music is important. Um, at some point, it's like I start to hear things, so I'll collect lines, I'll collect phrases and passages as they come. Um, Always making sure to write them down as soon as they land, or else they go. It's like I've learned the hard way. One, write it down as soon as possible, and two, make sure you know where you put it, because otherwise, I will spend a long time looking for that one little piece of paper with those three words on it. because I'm a little obsessive, but also because I know that it was something important that came through and I need to see it, even if I don't use it in the work. So collecting lines. And then at some point, I can usually articulate what the thing is that is trying to come through. And at that point, I begin to have conversations with people, um, people that I love and trust about whatever that is. And if possible, go see other works or do research or, you know, fill myself up in other ways within that world of whatever that thing is. And in an earlier My Two Cents, I talked about the importance of, you know, creating your posse, your art family, your people. You know, you got to have your people that you can fall into. Maybe it's just one person, but hopefully it's more than one. People that you love, that you trust, that support you, that can hold you and your ideas in all of their fragileness as they and you become strong. And, you know, that's an ebb and flow. So, you know, you need people that can be with you um, for the long haul in a good way. And not everybody you love is the right person to do that with. So be very careful. We are the guardians of the work. Our job is to take care of it, to nurture it, to grow it, and to offer it. And so, you know, it's a fragile thing at some points more than others. And then at some point after that, usually I kind of get into a cleaning mode. I usually have to just clean, clean, clean. I usually get a little grumpy and just don't want to be outside of my head. And then after I'm done cleaning everything that can be cleaned, I usually then call everybody I know that I want to talk to. Then I usually gather up my stuff and I go to the coffee shop and I go and sit, and I usually end up bumping around 4 or 5 different places, and then just having coffee or snacks or whatever and packing my things up and going to a next place. I don't understand it. I have just decided to let myself do it. It works for me. At some point, I usually end up back home and a draft begins to come through. And it's usually in bits, chunks and bits. And once I feel like I have enough of a draft, because my work lives in the performing arts, at the next point for me is to gather. I need to hear it. I need to see it. I need to know what other people know about it that I don't know. And so whether it's formal, you know, as in commissioned opportunities, or whether it's informal, as in my kitchen, I must hear the work next and engage in conversation around the work. Again, it must be safe spaces. It has to be with, I need to be self-determining in that so that I can really, really hear it, so that I won't get confused in that early point of the development by what other people think and what the work wants. So I can hear what the work wants to become based on conversations and opportunities for embodiment through people that I can trust with the work. And then after that, I usually end up with a good draft. And then from there, you know, it's a matter of making opportunities for the work to live and thrive and grow. And that development process usually takes a couple of years for me, because I need to have lots of experiences of seeing it. And I call them experiments, lots of different ways of experiencing the work and being in conversation around it, being in community, being with audiences, you know, that participate in the witnessing of the work. And then at some point, I feel like I have an actual really good draft. I don't know that I ever feel that it's done, but at some point I know I have to let it go. You know, because I've myself, and I think a lot of people are like that. We could probably work on the work forever because there's always something that we want to do to make it better. But at some point, I know for myself, I have to just leave it alone, and go on to the next thing. So that's kind of a taste of what my creative process is like. What's yours? What do you need to do in order to prepare to write, in order to provide space for yourself to enter into creative conversation with what wants to come through you. What do you need? Tell yourself the truth. Let yourself have it, even if it doesn't make sense, quote unquote. And then use what you know works to speed up the process. So use your process to facilitate your process. All right. That's my 2 cents for today. All right. Wishing you the very best. Blessings and joy.